Chairman and Ranking, thank you. We got to go same place, talk to Coast Guard. But just first of all, Admiral and Mr. Secretary Admiral, and I think a fellow Texan also, General, thank you for the service that you provided. A couple of things. One, the military does bring some skills and assets that the Department of Homeland doesn't do. So like if you can follow up on that and what y'all bring to it. It's not only the southern border, but of course we got the coast, as you know. Number one. Number two, the law already calls for operational and regulatory efficiency reviews. The law already calls for contracting and procurement standards. The law already calls for quarterly performance updates. The law already requires development and submissions of updated performance measures. I'd like to just focus on the contracting and procurement standard, as it's been brought up by both the chairman and the ranking member, is why can we not do things on budget and on time? I mean, if the Chinese can do it, the Japanese can do it, and other folks can do it, we always come up, well, we got workforce development, all that, but why can, there's already penalties there for monetary penalties, suspension of work, and other things under the law. We keep coming up with excuses, but you got other countries that keep doing this. On budget and on time are the two factors. Finally, the last thing, and you can follow up on this later on, in my San Antonio area, as you know, there's been different suspension of contracts. There is one in particular that had to do with some data, a data contract that deals with service members' records, data for promotion boards, and other thing. And again, this contract was, we think it was necessary and it was performing, but then you all cut it. I don't want you to take up the time now, but have somebody follow up on that. But I'd like to go and if you can mention a little bit on border security, what you bring in that Homeland doesn't have, but more importantly, on budget and on time, and why other countries can do it and we can't.
Why don't we start with the border piece, and then we can go to another question. So from the Navy's perspective, 30 intelligence specialists on the border helping with the southern border, 58 P-8 sorties for intelligence and surveillance, and now 3 ships. And Minneapolis-St. Paul is a littoral combat ship, as well as 2 destroyers, and they relieved 2 destroyers. So the presence for counter drug flow, counter immigration, there's a maritime component of that the Navy is performing and has performed for a long time. The first time I got underway on a ship in 1987, we had a law enforcement detachment, and that's something the Coast Guard and the Navy are really good at doing together to extend the reach of the Coast Guard.
Sir, in terms of the Marines, our 1st Combat Engineer Battalion, based out of Camp Pendleton, California, is operating on the southern border. They're doing engineer tasks. They're constructing concertina wire. They're building obstacles. They're doing what they do, so they're continuing to get the training that they would normally get at Camp Pendleton. They're just getting it on the southern border. But that's our contribution, is our 1st Combat Engineer Battalion.
Just real quick, just on the border as well. I mean, I think the Navy, since its inception, has been a Homeland Defense organization. They work with the Coast Guard. They do ballistic missile defense, and keeping sea lanes and trade lanes open has been part of their job since inception. So I think it's a very important aspect to what they do. In terms of on time, on budget, I think it's a number of different things. One, as I mentioned in my opening statement, the industrial base has been hollowed out. We have lost a lot of manufacturing and our ability to manufacture. We've had prior conflicts where we've spent a lot of money. And the bills for our deferred infrastructure spend, whether that's piers, docks, is now coming due. And it's been going on for a while. And so these are not new problems. I mean, I look back at testimony 20 years, I keep hearing the same things. I'm trying to figure out why it hasn't been fixed, to be perfectly honest. But I will tell you, I think it's a combination of bureaucracy. So just to give you an example, in the Navy, in acquisitions alone, we have 56,000 people in our acquisitions department. Now, we did last year 217,000 contracts. That's 34 contracts per person. That's 2 contracts a month. Something's off. I keep trying to understand what are all these people doing. And these are complicated contracts, but I'll also be honest, when I look at our contracting, it's poor. We don't control our IP. We can't repair stuff. We don't have very good penalties built in for lack of performance. These are all things we are going to really try to change. And I kind of called it in my confirmation hearing, shared risk. I think it's great for the private sector to make money, and they should. But they should be paid according to the risk that they take. And that is not going on right now. And we need to fix that. So it is not an easy solution, but it has our focus, and we are going to get it fixed. It will take time. We will be very transparent with all of you and walk you through and tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and try to get it sorted.
Thank you.